I'm Northrup of MyMMANews.com, and I spoke to UFC bantamweight Casey Kenney, who takes on the former 135-pound king Dominick Cruz at UFC 259 on March 6th. Kenny spoke about how Cruz is not the same fighter he was 10 years ago, and about that one time where he tried Molly at Korean Karaoke between back-to-back trips to Fight Island. How are you, Casey?
Doing great, man. Can't complain. Finishing up camp here, feeling ready to go, and about to run in March 6th.
Yeah. The last time you were kind of leading up to the fight, you ended up having, what was it, 4 16-hour flights to Abu Dhabi. So Las Vegas, that must feel like your backyard at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's a quick hour flight over there from Arizona here, and Fight Island was cool. It was it was an awesome experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I did that already, so Vegas it is.
Yeah. And then you draw a guy like Dominick Cruz, as I mentioned, kind of in the introduction, but like to get that kind of fight too, and after like I said, like you went on those 4 16-hour flights, you even kind of did UFC a favor by like stepping in last minute too. Do you feel like the UFC was kind of like, all right, man, like this guy paid his dues, it's time to give him, kind of a bigger name?
Yeah, exactly. I'm 5-1 in the UFC. Nathaniel Wood was a tough guy, top prospect. Coming up as well. My last few performances have been amazing. Stepping up on short notice, and then I also signed on the dotted line to fight on December 12th against a tough opponent, and they ended up backing out on their end. So that's when the Cruz thing came about. And like I said, I've been down to fight. I've been making those quick turnarounds, putting on performances. So. When that text came for Cruz, I was like, let's do it, man. Yeah, I definitely deserve it.
Yeah, you're a company man.
Yeah, exactly. A company man, and I secretly just like to fight people, man.
Yeah. And like you said too, like you had the chance in December and things like that. But did you expect like a name like Cruz to like? What was kind of your reaction when you saw it? Kind of that was like the next option.
Right. I knew a top 15 guy was probably coming. Just being where Cruz is and everybody was matching up, it just happened. It was Cruz. Never in my life did I think I was gonna actually get that text. I was kind of thinking, man, is this to the right fighter? I'm all for it, but so take my moments as they are, and try to capitalize on them, and that's what I've been doing since I got in the UFC, and just staying ready, being ready to capitalize on those things.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of fighters too, when they kind of make this step too, they'll be asked all the time, like, is this one any different? They always say, no, it isn't any different. But, I've seen a lot of past interviews with you too. And you're a fan of the sport too. So I'm sure you've followed Cruz throughout his career. Does this one feel a little different just because it could be a guy that maybe you did look up to like at a certain point?
Yeah, at first, when I got the fight, kind of let it all process, but now that camp's been going, I'm turning into the savage that I am.
Yeah.
It all feels the same. I think that's one thing that I've done well over my career is I treat everybody the same. I prepare for myself, make everything sharp, focus a little bit on what they can do, but mainly focus on what I can do. So at first it was a little bit different, but once camp got going and everything, same stuff.
Yeah. He's a guy that obviously has been around for so long. So many people know so much about him too, like at least for the fans that are always watching and things like that. But for you, like what's kind of your analysis when you're kind of trying to like break him down?
I think, obviously he's one of a kind, but he was one of a kind 10 years ago. Not that anybody has, completely duplicated what he does, but the guys fighting in different unorthodox stances, that type of thing, that's the new era of MMA. And I think, his style is people have copied it. People have, taken things from it. But, it's not a new style anymore. And, we'll see how well I deal with it on March 6th, though.
Yeah. You had such an active year last year, too, especially during 2020 when it seemed like, it really wasn't going anyone's kind of way. But I think you got 4 fights total. Are you kind of planning on duplicating that this year? I mean, would you like to kind of get in that 4-fight range in 2021?
Yeah, obviously beat Cruz, working my way up the ladder. The turnarounds may slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
2020, I was kind of in a position where I could just fight anybody, and I'll still fight anybody. But normally there's a few guys that they have an idea that they want me to fight. A few guys with some targets on their back up in the bantamweight division, and but I'm still trying to get 2, 3, 4 fights in this year. That's definitely doable. I get 3 fights in, I win all 3. I'm looking pretty good in the bantamweight division.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the bantamweight division too, it's like so crazy now too, because there's so many like killers too, not even just in that top 15, but then like even this whole like Corey Sandhagen thing, like everybody was writing him off when he got tapped out by Aljamin Sterling back in June. Now
Right.
Aljamin hasn't even fought again since then, and now Sandhagen's supposed to get like the winner, everyone's saying. So it's kind of crazy how this like works.
Right. It is wild. That's the sport that we live in, and like you said, the bantamweight division is hot. Not only the top 15, you got all kinds of guys coming up underneath the top 15. You got a good mix of up and coming guys, and also the older veterans that are in there too. So it's a cool time to be a bantamweight.
Yeah. Now I'm sure you probably have gotten this question before too, but like a guy like Merab too, I believe was your last defeat too. Like, is that like obviously that's a fight I'm sure you would like to get back, but do you feel like that could be like likely just being like the circumstances?
Yeah, I'm a competitor. I always want to get those losses back. Merab's doing his thing. I'm kind of working my way up as well in a different way. So I think that we'll meet again. At the top sometime, and if we don't, that's something that I want to get back eventually. At some point in my career.
Yeah. And then obviously you're fighting the same night as the bantamweight title too, and even a win over Cruz, I don't know if that will with the way like the division is, I don't know if that would put you right into a title shot. But the fact that you could have especially like impressive performance on the night where people are already talking about that bantamweight title too. I mean, this must be like kind of setting up like a perfect stage for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I got the date for December 12th was after my the second Fight Island fight. I started saying that date because the bantamweight title was scheduled for that date, and then ironically it happened to get booked on the card that I was booked on. So fighting on the same night as the bantamweight title, obviously put on a impressive performance, and people start talking, which I don't think it gets me a title shot beating Cruz, but there's a lot of former champions, and if I take out one former champion, maybe take out another former champion, eventually I'm going to be in that title shot.
Yeah. It's like funny how that works too, though, because I feel like we'll see this all the time in the sport where somebody will fight at like a high caliber guy on the same night like a title fight's happening, and right all of a sudden that person just like skipped like 6, 7 spots just because it's relevant and the eyes are watching.
Right, or you look at the crazy things like Iaquinta with Habib and Joe Soto with Dillashaw. Yep. Guys that probably would have never fought for the title, but they were ready that night. They stepped up. I'm not saying that I'm going to be fighting Yan or Sterling that night, but it's always good to be in that position.
Yeah, you never know. Is that something that like not even just in this like circumstance, but is that something that even on like past cards too, you've like kind of like always had, like obviously you're preparing for the guy that that's written down and you're fighting, but like in the back of your mind is like, oh, there maybe there is a chance I fight like one of these guys.
Definitely. And I've met Aljamin. I haven't met Yan yet, but I want to be around those guys. I want to let them know that my presence is here as well. So putting on spectacular performances on their card definitely brings the attention, the eyes to me, and that's something that I guess I haven't really thought of too much, but that was the reason that I wanted to fight it in December. And here we are. We're fighting. As I work my way up closer to a title, I want to start fighting on those cards, fighting near those cards where the belt is taking place.
For sure. And like you said, you want to move up, and obviously you have Cruz first. But when you look at that division too, and the guys like kind of available, is there anyone that you kind of look at and you're like, oh man, I would just like love to fight that guy? Like not even like a disrespect way, but just somebody you like to kind of mix it in there with.
Definitely. I want to get Dillashaw. You know, I get all the
yeah.
internet. I get all the internet comments about me looking like him. So I gotta switch that around. Yeah, him and Yan both. You know, I get the memes where you got Yan and Dillashaw had a baby. It would be me. So I gotta set some of that stuff straight. So I feel like if I take them both out, you know, they're gonna be looking like me type of thing.
Yeah. No, that's funny. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people are kind of knocking down the door to face Dillashaw, kind of welcome him back.
Yeah, of course. I'll welcome TJ's cheating ass back. No problem.
Oh man. One thing I am kind of curious too, because you're a guy who used to fight at flyweight, now you're at bantamweight, and just to get like your opinion on the whole thing, you know, when you brought up Dillashaw right away, I started thinking of like Cody Garbrandt, but him being like too, I think now he's thinking about staying back at bantamweight, but like a guy who has fought at both divisions too, like do you think that would be like a good move for a guy like that?
Man, it's a tough weight cut. You know, I
Yeah,
know, and don't quote me on this, but I've heard that
yeah,
Garbrandt's not big, not big, but he walks around a little bit lighter than most bantamweights. Uh, so it may be an easier cut for him, but I used to walk around probably around that weight, and it was still, you know, still a deep cut to flyweight. So it's a dark place if he hasn't been there in a long time. You know, it may not go as planned. You know, look what happened to Dillashaw. So if I was Garbrandt, I'd stay at bantamweight, especially the way it is. But you know, he gets an immediate title shot. I guess you can't really blame him.
yeah. And since making that move too, how much size have you put on as far as like just like gaining muscle and things like that? You know, kind of establishing yourself in this bantamweight division.
It took me a little while, but it was pretty much about 10 pounds. You know, the 10 pounds that I was missing. Between my walking around weight and then the main weight that I was focused on was the night I stepped back into the octagon. And my first 3 UFC fights, I was about 10 pounds lighter than my last 3 UFC fights. So I kind of got that one figured out. You know, still a little bit of a weight cut, but you know, that 10 pounds, you know, especially against the guy that at the top level, you know, that's something I needed to make up. And, you know, I got that figured out. And a little bit of it was just time, you know, not
Yeah.
making the weight cut to 125. So, you know, got that figured out. The last 3 have been good. So I don't expect any different this one too.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk to you about, Casey, you might see where I'm going with this too, but I saw you were recently on the, well, not, I guess it wasn't that recent, but the Timbo Sugar Show, which
Right.
is an awesome podcast, and it was a great episode with you too. But there's one thing I want to talk to you about. I just thought it was like so funny. I was like, I'll see if I can get Casey to talk to me about this a little bit. But you said that between the both Fight Island fights that there was a night in Vegas where it was like something with Molly and Korean Karaoke. I mean, that sounds like a crazy night.
Yeah, you know, you got to have a little fun in between fights. Normally not that quick, but
Yeah.
it was a little, you know, not that close to the fight, but it was a little reset that I needed for Fight Island, man. So I like to go out and enjoy myself after a fight
sure.
and you know, get the job done.
Yeah. Like in all seriousness too though, like how important is that to like have this reset? Because I feel like when the media and people are kind of talking about these fighters and they're like, you know, it looks, you know, very cool when a guy's going out there, you know, 3 times in 3 months and getting, you know, 3 quick wins. Like everybody was talking about Kevin Holland and stuff, but like I don't think people are thinking about the other side of that though too, where how much travel that is, how much wear and tear that is on the body. Like how important is it to get that reset?
I think it's huge, man. I know everybody's got their own thing. Everybody's a little bit different, but for me, it's everything. You know, I've been training since I've been 5 years old. Mentally, physically, I'm ready to go. And if I can do something to just kind of keep my mind focused, maybe just get my mind off of fighting or media or traveling, or you know, just try not as hard as I can. Try not to think about fighting for just a day. That's huge for me. You know, brings me back, keeps me motivated. Feel like it's the good balance I got there.
Yeah. I think you also said on the show too that you've kind of cut back on like hard sparring too a little bit, like days where maybe, you know, you're thinking about maybe taking a rest, you kind of take that rest.
Yeah, especially like towards the end of camp. And, you know, mainly the reason that I'll do that is I have so much sparring leading up to camp. You know, I got so many rounds in. Definitely not Max Holloway in it on Zoom yet, that's for sure. But, you know, I got I'll take a couple rounds out of sparring, and that's just, you know, being a little bit more experienced, getting there a little bit healthier sometimes, you know, but definitely still getting all those sparring rounds in, man. Got a bunch of them in this camp.
Yeah, for sure. Casey, before I let you go, anything you want to add? The floor is yours.
You know, just thanks for everybody that's on the team supporting me. Thank you for your time, and tune in March 6th, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Casey. Thanks for taking the time. I really do appreciate it, and I wish you nothing but the best come March 6th.
Thanks, man.